everyone, and welcome once again to a marketing strategy session. Today, I have the privilege of having Mickey Kennedy on the call from ereleases.org. And Mickey is an expert when it comes to press releases, press release distribution, and just becoming an authority when it comes to the press. So welcome to the show, Mickey.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for coming on. Wanted to first get a little bit about yourself. It states that you have sent out over 30,000 press releases in your tenure, and that's a lot of press releases.
It is. As I mentioned before, we did 650 releases last month and 700 releases back in October. So we are moving a lot of press releases, and I've been able to see a lot of trends in PR and recognize a lot of releases that I suspect are going to do really well as releases that I feel aren't going to do very well. So I've got a lot of tips and can provide a lot of resources to people.
Great. And I saw on your site also you have a podcast on some of these tips, but if you would, share a couple of tips what makes a good press release. What's some best practices?
I think best practices when it comes to press releases has to do predominantly with the newsworthiness of the press release as well as the headline of the release. Journalists on the newswire, like PR Newswire, view the releases as a headline. So, whether they're going to drill down and actually read your release depends largely on whether they're captivated or interested in what the headline says. So a lot of people do the headline as a afterthought, and you really should put a lot of effort in the headline after you've developed the release and made sure that you've got the context there as well as any kind of elements that you want to draw the reader in. Secondly, about the newsworthiness of the release, you want to have something that's interesting, unique, ideally. Try to put yourself in the position of the reporter or journalist or blogger. What story or thing are you saying in the release that someone would want to read about or hear about? And if you can sort of tackle that and get that messaging very early in the release, you're going to do a really good job when you're getting PR or trying to get PR using press releases. Okay,
and a lot of press releases I've seen have had sort of a self-serving spin to it. Is it better for your company to have a self-serving brand, or should you, focus more on the actual value of the topic itself, the content itself? Because a lot of, for example, they'll say something that the company is doing, but it's really more geared toward the benefit of the company or the interests of the company and not maybe the target audience.
I think it depends on what you're announcing. If you're announcing a new product or service or an update to a product and service, it's okay to make it about you because you're really talking about what it is you're releasing and what's different about it, what's better. You do want to keep in mind, are you really conveying the benefit of this new product or service or this update to the reader, so in a way that they would want to check it out. If they've used it in the past, is it worth updating? If it's new, what's compelling about this product over what might be other products in the marketplace? So sometimes press releases have to be a little self-serving, but other times where you're just doing releases where you're trying to put your opinion about something that's going on in the industry or positioning yourself as an expert, it's probably better to be more content-driven and less about you. Many times when someone issues those type of releases, they may have 2 or 3 quotes where, of course, they'll cite themselves at a particular company and their name, and generally that's it. That's the only mention of the company. And those releases do extremely well when people are talking about a particular topic in the industry because they'll just take your quote or a section of your release and incorporate that into their story, and because they need to cite their source, they're definitely going to cite you and your company. So that's another great tip.
Okay, great. And is there a sweet spot for frequency of the amount of releases you send out in a certain period of time?
I always tell companies, especially small businesses, that you should be doing a release at least once a quarter. We do have small businesses that have a lot to say. They're doing updates or new products. They're demonstrating at trade shows, and they're doing more frequently because they have more opportunities for announcing something. Generally, the rule of thumb is, don't announce something just because, it's time to do it. You really want to have a plan and a strategy for how you want to engage the media and what you want to announce to them. But that being said, most companies can come up with ideas if they just are creative and think about certain uh, things that are going on in their industry. Sometimes you can piggyback on legislation or something that's happening in your industry, and get your thoughts out there. So there are lots of opportunities. We have a program at eReleases where we do a release every month for the client, and we've never had a problem running out of ideas. So if you have someone who's strategic, really looking at your company, your industry, there's literally hundreds of opportunities to engage the media. It's just a matter of being strategic about them and being smart about releasing them.
Okay. So that's great. And so leveraging services such as yours can help a company. It doesn't have to be straight from, I would say, maybe the business owner or the upper management's mind. They can actually leverage companies such as yours. You'll come up with different angles, topics. They choose what fits best, and then pretty much let you do your magic.
Absolutely.
Would that be the best? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know logistics is one thing that a lot of companies struggle with, just the
Right.
logistics of it all.
And we have a lot of small businesses where the owner of the company is running everything, and when it comes to PR, they worry that they're going to get distracted, or they're going to be spending a lot of time with it. And we do have programs in place that make it very easy, where we do all of the heavy lifting. We come up with the ideas, we develop the release, we send it to the media, and really the only thing that we require of that small business owner, other than an initial kickoff meeting with them, is their approval of the press release. We won't distribute anything until they've approved it. But we can really get this down to just 5 or 10 minutes of their attention each month, and that's all that we require. And that really frees up the business owner to do what they do best and focus on a lot of different other things, and still make sure that PR is being used and developed, and so that over the months they'll begin to see some fruit from that PR effort.
Okay. Now, some of the trends that I've seen with press releases would be now the addition of photos, videos, things of that nature. Have you seen that as a improvement, or has it not really made much of a difference?
Well, we allow and incorporate photos as well. Videos are generally just a link to the actual video in the releases that we issue because of the restraints with our Newswire partner, PR Newswire. But I think it's good. I mean, I think that the media get their fodder for news in lots of different ways, and video can be a compelling one. However, we see a lot of releases with safe, mediocre videos. A lot of money was spent, but there's really nothing newsworthy in the video, and that's the thing to worry about. If you have a video, make sure it fits what you're releasing and that it is newsworthy, because the last thing you want to do is to take a journalist who's looked at your press release and clicks on your video hoping to get more information, more content, and just see something that was high production value but very little content. So just keep that in mind.
Okay, that's very good advice. Very good advice. And now, one of the things that's happened over the past few months has been search engines have changed the way they look at press releases.
Right.
Have you seen that as something that has very much affected negatively press releases, or it's just because press releases weren't used the correct way, you may start seeing some negative results?
I have been waiting for this to happen for years. Over 5 years ago, Matt Cutts said that press releases should not convey any SEO benefit, and yet we knew that they were. And literally there's been dozens of companies that have launched since that time and are still operating today that are basically about web visibility and SEO. And they're not about working with journalists or engaging the media. And we've had to do a lot of education of our clients as to why we feel SEO is a distraction. It shouldn't be the core focus of a press release. It should be engaging with the media. And that's why our releases cost so much compared to someone who just puts it on a web page. We're actually paying to transmit our releases over a newswire, PR newswire, as I previously mentioned, and we are sending out to subscribing journalists. And so I think it's a good thing. The new rules that the links and press releases should be no follow links underscores the efforts that press releases shouldn't convey SEO benefit. And so I think it's good. I think it gets press releases back to what they were created for, and that's engaging with the media, and less about creating press releases for robots and search engine spiders,
Yeah.
full of keywords and things like that. So I see it as a good thing. I think that we're going to see a lot more in the future, people focusing on press releases for reaching the media, and less about the SEO link juice and other things that were conveyed previously.
Yeah, so press releases will go back to the building authority from different sources versus just a strategy of ranking. So, yeah, I can agree with you on that. I think that we should go back to the focus of building authority for your brand versus just tricks for search engine rankings, mostly for vanity's sake. I mean, most of the time, you just want to see yourself at the top. So.
Right.
Now, as far as strategy, because we always have a strategy in the marketing strategy session,
Right.
What would be a good strategy for a company to utilize when leveraging press releases?
I think the strategy you should have is planning. One of the things that we do with our higher end customers and clients is that we look at what they have going on over the next year. We plug in, say, May is a trade conference that's really important to them. Maybe in August they're doing a refresh of the website. And we start filling in all of these months where there are important things happening, and we plan releases before that. Most people are doing PR reactively. They're like, oh, we just introduced this new product. We really should have done a release last week. Let's go ahead and quickly put together a safe, mediocre press release and get it out. And if they had spent a lot more time planning, incorporating what's important about the software, and really just making it a central focus, they could have issued the release simultaneously with the launch of the product, and it would be a much better release. A lot of the times we see press releases that are well written, but they're not as well written as they could be. And with 2,000 releases a day hitting the news wires, all the different various true news wires, that's a lot of noise and a lot of competition. So having a press release that is as good as it can be and a safe release, the difference of pickup could be like 5 or 10-fold. And so that's just something to keep in mind, that you don't want to do PR as an afterthought or at the last minute, but really strategically plan it, talk to all different departments. And that's one of the things that we do when someone's got something, a milestone that they know is coming 3 months out. We try to talk to all the parties, understand all the different core unique aspects of the product or service, so that we are really firing on all cylinders when that release is getting ready to go out.
Okay, so it's really like a combination of an editorial calendar and a marketing campaign.
Yeah, I mean, you want to create your own editorial calendar that's unique to you, which takes into consideration things that are going on in your industry as well, like trade shows and things like that, so that you're prepared and you're getting your best foot forward every time you're issuing a release. Okay.
Now, do you leverage any social media before or after the release?
We do. One of the things that the Newswire does, as well as we do on our site, is we have the social buttons, the interactivity that happens there, and it allows for things to go viral and for people to link to the releases and to tweet them, and we do help to get that out there. But the customer is the one who's in the best position for that. They have their own Facebook followers, their own Twitter followers, so it's very important that they do not forget to tweet their release, share it on Facebook, and it's also something that they can share with their email followers, their email subscribers, as well as suppliers and vendors. I mean, if you're a company and you're issuing press releases, and you're getting the word out. When your suppliers and vendors see that, they know that you take your business very professionally, and it helps the relationship there. And so there are a lot of opportunities for taking the press release beyond the media and getting it out there, and sharing it with the world. And when potential customers see a press release and it's topical to something that they're doing, again, it's a huge credibility booster. They feel like this is a credible company. We don't see fraudulent companies issuing press releases. You see legitimate
Yeah.
companies that are concerned about their reputation and that are trying to be as professional as possible. So it's a huge credibility indicator out there in the marketplace.
Okay, great. Well, the strategy is this. First, plan. Getting yourself an editorial calendar and a marketing campaign for your press releases, and not be reactive and just throw a press release out whenever something happens as an afterthought. And then second would be a very good headline, making sure your headlines are strong, your content is relevant and strong, and then last, share. Share on your social, on your website, to your email list, but share the press release. Don't be stingy with it because it's meant to be distributed. So that's really the strategy for today. Mickey, I thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to help give some advice. And at any time you need to look for ways that your company can grow, look at ereleases.org. Look Mickey up, find out how his company can help your company grow and become an authority in your space.
Well, thanks
So
so
once
much, Jeff.
again, thanks for everybody for coming on. Thank you, Mickey. Any closing thoughts?
No, I think that largely the big message is that so many people have focused on SEO and PR, and I would just advise people that if you're thinking about PR, think about reaching the media. What would it mean for your company to be picked up in a trade publication, in a newspaper, on industry-related blogs? That can really be business transformative for a small business, getting that kind of attention. And those are the kinds of things that we do see from people who are issuing regular press releases. We see it all the time. So, and it is attainable. It is an area where the person with the most money doesn't win. It's the person with the most interesting message wins. And everybody has interesting messages, interesting stories. And a lot of companies like Fast Company and Inc. Magazine love to share the story, the anecdotes of what got you to this point. And a lot of small businesses seem to be ashamed, or they want to appear bigger than they are, and they don't share their story. And I advise people to do that. I mean, the struggles, the setbacks, those types of things can be the story that gets you in a publication like that.
Oh, so the good and the bad.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Great advice, because we always focus on the good.
Yes, absolutely. And
Great
yet the
advice.
negative, the setbacks are the types of things that we identify with. When you read a lot of business magazines, you'll hear the stories about where they were putting these orders together in the kitchen table, and they were growing faster than they should have, and all of a sudden, they've sent the packages off to UPS, and they can't find their phone. And those are the types of trip ups and stories that we identify with as humans and small business owners with other people. And those are the types of things that the media responds to and resonates with. So again, get to know the publications that are out there and the types of stories that they publish, and you can sort of create craft your own story that's unique to you in a way that perhaps will resonate with the media.
Great, great. Well, once again, this has been a marketing strategy session with Mr. Marketology and Mickey Kennedy from ereleases.org. I wish you all the best of success.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending this marketing strategy session. We hope that you gained some valuable insights. Below, we have some resources that can help you put these marketing strategies into action. As always, we welcome your feedback and encourage you to reach out if you need additional assistance.